Call the council meeting to order tonight. Tonight will be led in the invocation by Reverend Kathy Moulton from Sanford Hospice in Sioux Falls, and then after the invocation, we'll have the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, I'd ask everyone to please rise.
Inside this room, it is light. Light helps us to do the work that remains to be done before we rest. But outside, the nighttime sky is dark. When you step out into the darkness after the meeting, you may seek light to help show you the way home. Consider your car lights and the street lights that routinely help show you the way. But all things are not routine. It is Advent. Our darkened lives have been intersected by life-giving light. We are reminded that the light of the world has drawn near to us. We are urged to move from our darkness toward God's light. We will be strengthened for the tasks of our lives by remembering that God is light, pure light, and there is no darkness in him. Now and in the days ahead, dare to draw nearer yet to the wondrous gift of a little baby in Bethlehem, our eternal light. Let us pray. Dearest Father of light, we reverence you for your life-giving light. Thank you for loving us so much that you came to be with us, giving us your light. Teach us to walk in your path and help us to make decisions that reflect in our community and uphold you. We have hearts filled with gratitude for the life you are giving us. Help us to love you, to love one another, and to be effective stewards of your blessings. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's move into the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved, Jameson.
Second, Benninga.
Jameson made the motion. Benninga seconded the motion. Further discussion on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion to amend the main motion by adding items on Exhibit A and Exhibit C to the consent agenda and to set their hearing date for Monday, December 17th, 2007 at 7 p.m.
Okay,
Second,
the motion was
Jameson.
made. Is there a second to that motion?
Second, Jameson.
Jameson seconded. Is there further discussion on the motion to amend? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion to amend will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Benninga,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
All members present have voted. That motion has been approved 8-0. Are there other motions? We've got a motion, any motions to the consent agenda? We've got a motion been made and seconded to approve as amended. Further discussion, being none, all in favor of that motion to approve as amended will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Benninga,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
All members present voted. The regular agenda has been approved 8-0. The consent agenda has been approved 8-0 as amended. Now we're in, is there a motion to approve the regular agenda?
I so move. Knutson.
Knutson moved. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz seconded. Further motions? Seeing no further motions, all in favor of approving the regular agenda will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Benninga,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
All members present have voted. The regular agenda has been approved 8-0. This is the time that we set aside 5 minutes that anyone wishes to address the council and public input for a period of 5 minutes. We ask you to keep it to 5 minutes, and then we just give your name and your address when you come forward. Anybody like to address the council in 5 minutes? Come up, name and address, please, and come forward.
My name is Brent Kinsley, 911 North Dakota, Sioux Falls, South Dakota.
Callie Kinsley, 836 South Lowell, Sioux Falls.
Basically, we're here to make the city council aware of the ongoing problems with the taxi regulation in this city. As of late, there's been several new taxi companies licensed in this city, one of which is what I'm basically here to talk about, and it is called ABC Deliver Me Cab. And what he basically says is that he is a discount taxi, and it's $10 anywhere in town. As soon as I got wind of this, I went down to the city finance, and I talked to Lori Bossman. She told me that this guy is not licensed as a taxi. He's got a vehicle for hire license, but that he is licensed as a driver for hire, which makes him immune to, this is the way I took it anyway, that it makes him immune to the ordinances in this city. I've been doing business in the cab for 20 years. My dad had it before that, my granddad. We've always held the ordinances in high esteem and followed them religiously because we don't want to have any problems with the city. You know, we do our business here. This is our livelihood. We feed our children with that business. Well, after talking to Lori, you know, I said, well, I've got 21 cabs. I got 44 drivers. I want them all to be drivers for hire, and I want to charge whatever I want to haul people around Sioux Falls. And she said, yeah, okay. Well, then I called the city attorney because I know this ain't right. I've got the ordinances right here. There is no driver for hire listed in there. Mr. Caldwell told me that, nah, that's not right. You know, he's got to be licensed as a taxi, or a vehicle for hire under the taxi office. You know, right on there it says that discount taxi. Well, and I called the chief of police and told him that I believe that this particular company is breaking the law by operating taxis. And he asked me why, and I said, well, first of all, in the ordinance, a taxi has to have a meter. And he doesn't have a meter, and he doesn't have a commercial plate. And I think that's the South Dakota law. There's nothing in the city ordinance that says I got to
Say,
have
let
a
me excuse me. The city attorney told me we just corrected that last week.
Well,
If
okay.
I might, he
Now,
is now licensed.
Just
Okay.
go ahead.
He is now, that particular operation is now licensed as a taxi and has been told he has to comply with all of our taxi ordinance, and we went over them with him. He has installed a meter and been told that although this is not a city requirement, it is a state requirement that he have commercial plates on his vehicle.
Okay, and God bless you for that, and I appreciate it. But I'm going to tell you right now, today, I drive taxi every day. I seen one of it, he's got 2 cars. One of them, I followed him. He doesn't have a commercial plate. He's got ABC Deliver Me Taxi printed on his back window. The second one, the other one, I had one of my employees call him at the Crowbar and take him from the Crowbar to Queen City. I metered that with a standard taxi meter that is calibrated to the rates that we're authorized. The drive run $8.60. All right. My employee, who will, and I hope I don't have to get an attorney to go through this, but he got in the cab. The man has a commercial plate and he had a vehicle for hire sticker, but he has no meter. And he charged him $10 on an $8.60 fare. So he's overcharging the city rates.
Will you call my office tomorrow and file
Absolutely,
a
I
complaint?
would.
We'll handle it then, because we've talked to him. He'll have to come in compliance.
God bless you. I appreciate it.
We'll,
And I don't.
yeah. Make sure you call tomorrow. We'll take care of that. So,
Thank you very much.
you
for your
bet.
time.
Thank you
I
for
appreciate
coming.
it.
Yeah.
Kermit?
I have a question. In the Sioux Falls ordinance, do we have a requirement for a meter?
Yes, it's right here.
Yeah, so we go. That's
It's in there. Believe me.
Yeah.
He knows.
So we can't have anybody going around just saying, hey, I'll charge $5 from this point to another point.
Well, if that's what
Yeah.
you want, I'll do that.
I think it's okay.
I'd be retired about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
We'll look into it tomorrow then. Thank you
God
very
bless you.
much.
Thank you.
Anyone else that wishes to address the council for 5 minutes, come forward, give your name and your address, please.
Mayor Munson and the City Council. I'm Ron Wazorek. I'm an agribusinessman from Davison County. And I thank you for the time that I will have here to address an issue that nobody wants to talk about. And that is the collapsing mortgage crisis, the banking crisis, and myself just coming back from Germany in September, where I was at an international monetary conference and a major infrastructure development conference attended by representatives of 39 countries. And while I was there, being there a few years prior to that, when they would readily take my dollar, this time they wouldn't take my dollar because of the collapsing value of our currency. As you know, in the last few days, I think in 2000 the dollar was like 86 cents to the euro. Now it's $1.50. That's a symptom of the collapsing financial system. And while I was there also, the Deutsche Bank had a major crisis involved with mortgages that were bundled in the Midwest here and sold to a bank in Germany. So we have a major crisis by insane banking policies brought about by deregulation. The same time I'm there, before I leave Germany, they have a run on one of the largest banks in Germany, Northern Rock, which has, they had basically a 4-day run on the bank, which has like 42 branches in England, brought about by not U.S. subprime mortgages, but by England's same type mortgage bubble. So being a member of the LaRouche Political Action Committee, which has international and national organizers, we have put together or Mr. LaRouche himself has basically put together a proposal for a moratorium on subprime mortgage loans, and we're calling on, this physical body, which is very responsible, to call on a physical body in Washington, D.C., that has not been quite so responsible to look at a resolution, or asking you to pass a resolution or addressing the leadership from this area in Washington with a request to, do some fundamental studying on the banking crisis. Locally here we have Citicorp, which just recently made an announcement of a major loss and 45,000 jobs laid off worldwide. I think this is an issue that should be addressed by this body, because the effects of this is going to affect the citizens of Sioux Falls, of South Dakota, and the United States and the world. And I think, and I just plead on the decency and the common sense of my fellow Dakotans to insist that our national legislator do something about this. And on your desk I think you have information. There's comments addressing the members of the council and the mayor, and also South Dakota legislators that have already endorsed a resolution to this effect. There's a number of states where the resolution has been drafted. There's a number of states listed there where the resolution has been filed, and cities from Pomona, California to Philadelphia have passed resolutions. And so we're looking for real national grassroots leadership to stimulate the leadership in Washington, D.C., and this has to be a bipartisan, effort to accomplish what's being done. The second thing I might say on there is a copy of a resolution that I have put together myself. I would, hope that you would consider it, maybe change it, do whatever you think, and follow up on something. But I put it as short and sweet as I could and direct. Basically the city of Sioux Falls values and encourages home ownership and realizes the stability and the investment that it brings to neighborhoods. And I'm not going to read through it because I'm assuming I don't have the time to do it. So I'm asking you to look at it, and thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Ron. quickly. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
Ron, you wanted the Sioux Falls City Council to go on record as supporting this. In taking a look at the list of your names here, I haven't had a chance to look at every one of them, but I haven't seen a city council endorsing this. I see individual city council members. Is there some city councils that have actually endorsed this?
Yes. In fact, the Pennsylvania State Legislature is considering this, and it's already, gone through the procedures except for the vote on it. And 12 to 15 of the major cities in Pennsylvania have passed resolutions calling for action on this. The city of Pomona, California has passed it. Gary, Indiana has passed it. Indianapolis, Indiana was going to consider it today at their rally. There's cities all over the country. There's states, legislators that are looking at it. So it's something that needs to be attended to, because we're looking at a crisis like we've never seen in this country before. The potential is to get even worse than it was in the 30s.
Okay, thanks, Ron. We appreciate it. Others that wish to address the council on public input for a period of 5 minutes, give your name and your address, and we ask you to keep to 5 minutes.
My name is Melvin Vandentop, and I'm a resident of Sioux Falls. I've lived here since 1978. I'd also like to ask you to endorse and make a resolution to support the Homeowners and Bank Protection Act of 2007, which is federal legislation that has been drafted that must be implemented in order to create a firewall in our economy that is going to prevent the loss of millions of home ownership. And this proposal is simply designed to begin the process towards reestablishing a sane physical economy, but it must be the first step, because the financial system itself that we've all come to know and to depend on is collapsing as the days go on. Each day, the Federal Reserve and the independent central banks in Europe are pumping billions of dollars of liquidity in order to try to keep the thing up for another day. But as you have seen in the stock market rebounds temporarily, and then it continues its downward spiral. So that we would like to go on record as having requested that you approve this resolution to send it to the Congress, so that you are on record as having been part of the solution instead of a part of the problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Others that wish to address the council for 5 minutes on the public input portion? Seeing no one come forward, we will move into the regular agenda, and we'll take items 6 through 18.
Amend new 2007 retail liquor license issued on 9/17/07 to Rodney M. Wuffel to be operated at 3100, 3108, 3110 West 12th Street, including Sunday sales and video lottery terminals, changing the date of license to 2008. Number 7, transfer of a 2008 retail liquor license from Jimmy Z. Inc., Buffalo Wild Wings, 909 West Avenue North, to W&P of Sioux Falls, LLC, Buffalo Wild Wings, to be operated at 909 West Avenue North, including Sunday sales and video lottery terminals, effective 1/1/08. Number 8 is transfer of a 2007 retail liquor license from Coconut Joe's, LLC, Lava Lounge Bar and Grill, 2601 South Carolina Avenue, to 5050 Holdings, Inc., name to be determined, to be operated at 2601 South Carolina Avenue, including Sunday sales and video lottery terminals, pending final inspections for fire and health. 9, transfer of a 2007 retail liquor license from Waterfall Plaza, LLC, Waterfall Plaza, 6121 South Minnesota Avenue, to 5050 Holdings, Inc., name to be determined, to be operated at 325 North Minnesota Avenue, including Sunday sales and video lottery terminals, with a conditional use permit being approved on 8/1/07, pending final inspections per fire and building services. 10, transfer of a 2007 packaged liquor license from Cafe 334 Inc., Cafe 334 334 South Phillips Avenue to Brune LLC, Phillips 334, to be operated at 334 South Phillips Avenue. Transfer of a 2007 retail wine license from Cafe 334 Inc., Cafe 334 South Phillips Avenue to Brune LLC, Phillips 334, to be operated at 334 South Phillips Avenue. Transfer of a 2007-08 retail malt beverage license from Cafe 334 Inc., Cafe 334 South Phillips Avenue to Brune LLC, Phillips 334, to be operated at 334 South Phillips Avenue. 13, transfer of a 2007 packaged liquor license from Painkillers Inc., Liquor Depot, 1917 West 12th Street to WR Liquor Inc., Booze Boys Liquor Depot, to be operated at 1917 West 12th Street. 14, transfer of a 2007-08 retail malt beverage license from Painkillers Inc., Depot Casino, 1915 West 12th Street to WR Liquor Inc., Booze Boys Casino, to be operated at 1915 West 12th Street, including video lottery terminals. 15, transfer of a 2007-08 retail malt beverage license from Thurston Inc., Jono's, 1704 Burnside Street to JJJR Ventures Corp., Jono's, to be operated at 1704 Burnside, including video lottery terminals. 16, special one-day liquor license for Washington Pavilion Management Inc., Washington Pavilion of Arts and Science, to be operated at 301 South Main Avenue as follows: December 31st, 2007 for a wedding reception, January 25 and 26 of 08 for a holiday party. Rescind the license issued for November 2nd, 2007. 17, special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine license for Dr. Rose Faith to be operated at the Museum of Visual Materials, 500 North Main Avenue on December 7th, 07 for a birthday celebration, and January 26, 2008 for a dinner and game night. 18, various retail liquor, packaged liquor, and retail wine license renewals for 2008 to be operated at various locations in the city of Sioux Falls, identified as Exhibit B.
Thank you, Tammy. Lori Bossman, City Finance Office, and I thought maybe we could go through items 6 through 17 first and then do the renewals, item 18, after that. So I can answer questions on 6 through 17.
Questions of Lori? Bob Jameson.
On number 8, who actually holds that license at Coconut Joe's? At one time, the Elks were involved. Are they still involved?
Well, they were part of the LLC. I didn't bring the current ownership of Coconut Joe's with me, but the Elks were part of that license. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Other questions of Lori, Kevin, on 6 through 17?
Again, on item 8, Lori, do you know, and this may not be something you can answer, but the planning staff is here,
Sure.
so we'll. First of all, how long was the Lava Lounge closed? When did it close? And I assume when they proposed opening this alcohol establishment again, it went through another conditional use review.
Okay, as far as when it was closed, I don't have an... Oh, Jeff. In July, okay, thank you. It was closed in July. They're not required to let us know when they close. We just, we hear about it, and I'd heard they were closed. But thank you, Jack. As far as the conditional use permit, no, they were not required to go back for a review, but possibly Mike could address that.
Mike Cooper, Planning and Building Services. The conditional use permit for this site was approved back in 2004, and the stipulations that were included at that time, the site plan and building design as presented, the conditional uses for this applicant, a security management plan, and a photometric plan, which was the lighting requirements that we were going to review. At that time, the applicant was Pesca Construction or Pesca Properties Incorporated, and that's the same applicant that came forward for the transfer. So based on the stipulations that we had at the time, it was not required to go through another review process.
Well, I suppose technically that may be a valid reason for not going through conditional use, but there have been, since that conditional use permit was approved, 2 sets of managers. Now there's going to be a third set, I assume. We've had a considerable amount of public controversy over this location. Many people would say this council made a mistake when we allowed the place to open in the first place, and I don't understand why we would not go through another conditional use, another public review of this establishment.
You know, we have, in other locations, we have stipulated that it's for that business, a certain business operation. But again, in this one, the conditional use is for this applicant. So whether or not we should have or could have, you know, that's obviously what you're saying tonight is that we should have. And it was the administrative decision within our office not to require that to go back through again, based on these stipulations.
Further questions? Kevin?
I have a question on number 9. Waterfall Plaza. That was, and I believe, Laura, you explained last week that we had a situation where an establishment was never opened and this license was about to lapse.
That's correct. They applied in 2005. It was the end of 2005. They renewed it for 06 and 07 and were not able to renew it for 08. So they had to sell it.
My question has to do with the new location.
Okay.
What is currently at 325 North Minnesota Avenue?
Okay, well, that might be a good question for the applicant. Kirby Meilenberg is here
Okay.
and can address that. Kirby?
Hello, Kirby Meilenberg, 2800 South Jonathan Lane. Currently at that location, there is a car wash in one building, and in the building that the application is applied for, there is a laundromat. And there is an empty space in the building of about 1,500 or 1,600 square feet, which is where this license is applied for.
And your establishment will be?
You know, we don't actually have a name. It will be
What is the primary use?
a lounge with video lottery.
What would you say if someone said that you're using the alcohol license to bypass the council's policy with regard to distance requirements and prohibiting video lottery establishments across the street from parks?
I guess I would say that I think we're following the rules and the guidelines that the city has in place. No offense.
Would your establishment be opening if you were not allowed to have video lottery?
Probably not.
Further questions? Bob Jameson.
And this is a question for Gary. What does our ordinance read about distance from a park for video lottery and liquor license?
Mr. Mayor, to my knowledge, there is no distance requirement for a liquor license from a park, a school, any such establishment. That's a land use issue, not a liquor licensing issue, but that's my recollection. Perhaps Mike would correct me if I'm wrong.
Within our zoning ordinance for on-sale alcoholic beverage establishments, when a conditional use permit is required for a liquor license or for the sale of liquor, the applicant is required to notify any church, school, or public park. You wouldn't notify the park, but you would notify the owner of a church, school, or public park within 600 feet of the subject property. So the only requirement is a notification prior to the public hearing.
I believe this is within 600 feet of Van Epps Park, isn't it?
Yes. So the park department was notified, the school district would be notified, or a church if it was within that distance.
Okay, thank you.
It's somewhat of a complicated matter here because we're talking about a conditional use, which is a land use issue on one side, which we're not dealing with tonight. But what we're talking about tonight is transfer of a license. When you're talking about a transfer of a license or an issuance of a license, are we not bound by state law that dictates that we consider two things: suitable place, suitable person? Am I wrong in that?
Mr. Mayor? I'm sorry, Councilman Kavanaugh, I didn't hear the last thing you said.
I believe when we, our guidance from state law, when it comes to issuing and renewal of alcoholic beverage licenses, liquor licenses, wine and beer, is suitable place, suitable person.
That's correct. Well, suitable person, good moral character, no felony conviction.
And suitable place.
That's the land use issue aspect of it. Correct.
So how do we reconcile the suitable place criteria by simply saying it does not apply when it's a liquor license?
The suitable place requirement is determined through the conditional use permit process, which is not part of the proceeding before the council now. It is simply the license transfer.
I understand that. But the criteria, again, has to do with place. We're supposed to look at things like, or the Planning Commission was supposed to look at things like, will not create an undue concentration, is not in an area where children could be expected to frequent or patronize. I would say a park or a laundromat might rule that out, and is compatible with characteristics of surrounding uses. I watched the August 1st broadcast of the Planning Commission, and when a Planning Commission member asked about this very issue, that member was told, well, you're dealing with land use tonight. The council will take up the issue of the alcohol license and whether or not there'll be video lottery here. We see this not as a video lottery application, but a simple transfer of a license. My concern is we're letting things like this slip through the cracks.
Further comments? Go ahead.
I think that in the case where we have an alcohol license that's not beer and wine, and the 2,000-foot rule does not apply, that there's probably a difference in the way that the planning staff and the planning commission would review that. And based on discussions that we were having tonight, I would certainly be open to sitting down and reviewing our process, the criteria that we have in the ordinance, if this is an issue that's going to continue to come up for transfers or other cases where video lottery is being brought into the equation.
Pat?
I have a question for Kirby regarding number 8, the first license. Can you Coconut Joe's and Lava Lounge certainly carried with it a storied past. Can you give us a little idea what you're planning for that location, and that maybe some sort of guarantees on why we won't be dealing with the issues that we previously dealt with at that location?
Sure. Along the same lines, our focus is definitely not a nightclub. We are more of a lounge with video lottery. With the liquor license, we're able to serve mixed drinks, where in the past we've only been able to serve beer. In that location, you probably all know that's a large building, and we're looking at doing some type of a mixed use in a portion of the building that might include other partners with a restaurant or possibly more of a bar and grill. We're not in the nightclub industry, and nor do we intend to be.
Thank you.
Bob Jameson.
Mike, the area to the south is residential, or is that zone commercial with a conditional use for residential? And to the west, across the alley, I believe, is residential also.
Yeah, the area to the west is residential, and the area to the south is, I believe, multifamily. I'm trying to remember exactly what is on the south end there. And we did have one, during the public hearing by the Planning Commission, we did have one comment from a neighboring property owner about the proposed use, but we didn't have any other input from the surrounding area during that public hearing.
And there's a lot of rental property in that particular area.
That's probably the reason why
Okay.
we didn't have a lot of public input.
A question, I guess, is it appropriate to, I remember back years ago, we had a problem with a liquor license at West Avenue and by 6th Street because it backed up to residential property. And the same situation is existing here, that we're putting liquor within 100 feet of a residence. Is that proper? I guess I have to ask that question.
Well, one of the things that, again, as we talk about maybe reviewing our zoning requirements and our criteria, that one idea might be to try to distinguish between if it's just a bar or if it's more of a restaurant. And maybe that's not going to be easy to do, but that might be one direction we could go, that if the majority of the business is from the sale of food versus alcohol, that probably would have a difference as far as the impact on the neighborhood. And maybe that's something that we could sit down and just take a look at how our ordinances are structured.
Okay.
Just a suggestion.
Further questions, Mike, on 6, or Lori, on items 6 through 17? Pat?
Mike? And maybe Kirby, I mean, are you aware of other video lottery establishments that are in or abutting to residential zoning?
I can say that, yes, there, I mean, as you know, most commercial land is abutting residential land. So, I mean, I think you can safely say that most are.
Thanks.
Bob Jameson.
However, I think our ordinance says there should be a buffer between commercial and the residential, such as multifamily and/or twin homes. In other words, the buffer is supposed to be between the commercial and the residential single-family homes.
That's correct, and in some cases, such as along West 12th Street, which is an older area, that we do not have that buffer in all cases, but we do try to maintain that, at least in the new development areas.
Further questions? Others that wish to address the council on items 6 through 17? Is there council discussion or action on items 6 through 17?
Move to approve.
Costello moved to approve. Is there a second?
Second, but I have an amendment.
Okay, Jameson seconded. Further comments on the motion to approve items 6 through 17?
My amendment would be to withdraw item 18 and vote on it separately. Item 8, I'm sorry.
Item 8? Just item 8?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I would second that motion if you include item 9 as well.
Is there a substitute motion that includes 8 and 9?
Yes.
Okay, there's
Second,
a
Kavanaugh.
substitute motion to include 8 and 9 and to vote separately on those two items. That's the motion before us. So the motion is to look at 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and we will vote separately on those two. Everybody understand that? That's the motion before us. All in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
No.
Benninga,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
and Jameson.
Yes.
All members present, have voted 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. Item 8 and 9 will be voted on separately. We're back to the motion on 6, 7, and then 10 through 17. Is there further discussion on those items? Now, we've had a motion made and seconded to approve those, and that's okay with the maker of the motion, right? Just to do that, that's okay with the second? Okay. Then we will vote on those. All in favor of the motion to approve those items will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
Yes.
Benninga,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. Items 6, 7, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 have been approved. We're back to items 8, and we'll take them separately. So any further discussion on item 8? Go ahead.
Well, the only reason I think Councilmember Kavanaugh brought up the problems that have existed with number 8, and I'm concerned with number 9, that our ordinances do not properly address the backing up of liquor license and/or video lottery to residential property. I think that needs to be addressed. This is going to be a casino, let's face it. And it's not going to be a restaurant, it's going to be a casino, and I think that's inappropriate. We've had lengthy discussions, if I remember right, on 6th Street. There was a place over there that was backed up to residential, and there was a lengthy discussion on it. We've had discussions on West Avenue years ago for the same thing. I think we need to address this in our ordinances before we approve these type of approvals. Thank you.
Further discussion? Kevin?
Well, just to tag on to what Bob is saying, I agree with him. I think we've had legitimate cases in the past where neighborhoods have complained about the type of activities that are that we're approving, and we do have. I thought several years back we came up with a solution that that everyone agreed, or at least the majority of this council agreed, we could have some type of a kind of a cooling off period, and we could distance and space out the video lottery establishments. And now what we're seeing is that rather than using that, adhering to that law, to that ordinance, contrary to council policy, they are buying liquor licenses knowing that they can get around our ordinance. Just because the liquor license doesn't make you comply with our ordinance doesn't make it right. I believe the essence and the whole policy behind that ordinance we passed, we're violating the spirit of that every time we approve one of these. And I think we need to seriously consider what we're doing. We've done it in the past. I think it's time to stop before we do more of them. I know Wednesday night the Planning Commission has got another one that they're going to be looking at. And what we'll see is nothing more than a simple transfer request. The entire discussion is gone past us. It's gone right over our heads.
Pat?
Well, in the essence of try to take these one in order, I'd like to make a motion to approve number 8. Which is the Coconut Joe's property.
Yeah.
I think it's separate from this current conversation.
Is there a second?
Second, Litson.
Let's second it. You want to defer it? You just didn't vote on it, not defer it? You just, is there
Yeah, let's just vote on it.
You want to vote on it? Okay.
I guess as a comment on, as far as the location goes, I don't believe there's any, I don't think this conversation we're having on number 9 applies to number 8. I don't think there's any parks or schools or anything that are close by that I'm aware of. Clearly, it's not the business that we've been dealing with in the past. He's indicated he's not looking for a nightclub, and I think if you were to go back and look at the police logs and the problems that were caused that, I think you could pretty much directly attribute those to the nightclub business. So I would think that let's not try to get confused, or let's not meld 9 into number 8. Let's let number 8 stand on its own. Especially when it had video lottery before, and if that's the objection, I don't know why we would allow previous owners to have it and now suddenly taking a different position on it.
Kevin?
There is some separation between 8 and 9. There's no doubt in my mind. Councilor Costello's right. My objection to number 8 is that I firmly believe, the law notwithstanding, I firmly believe that we had an obligation to the citizens of this community to take a look at that establishment again. Once it closed and they came back to reopen it, I think we should have had another look at it.
Further, this one goes down, you got a potential for some problems. I mean, that's why I was just wondering, you want to defer?
Well, what are the potentials?
Go ahead, Gary.
I want to be a little circumspect in what I say, but I will simply point out to the council that the land use issues are not before you at this time. If you wished to have the land use issues reconsidered, perhaps you could send this back to the Planning Commission with directions and specific questions that you ask them to answer. Once you deny this license, if this vote fails, this license is denied. This license transfer is denied, and under the statute, you can only deny a license transfer on the issues before you because of good moral character or conviction of a felony.
Kevin?
I'm confused now. What are the criteria that we're supposed to use tonight on this? I understand we don't have a land use issue in front of us. We have a transfer.
That is correct.
Again, it's suitable place, suitable person. Is that not the case?
The suitable place is determined through the conditional use process, which has already been determined for at least one of these, and well, both of them. The issue before the council on a license transfer is the same as for a new license issue, and that is the suitability of the person And that is, of course, good moral character, having been convicted of a felony. I understand that the council wants to consider the land use aspects of this now. What I am suggesting is that if that is that important, that it be reconsidered, that you consider sending it back to the Planning Commission with a series of questions. Don't, at this point in time, my recommendation would be not to deny the transfer.
Well, you could, go ahead.
If I could just respond. I'm not sure I agree with that assessment. I think if state law tells us that we look at two things, you say that suitable place has already been established. It's already been determined. This council has never determined that, and if I'm not mistaken, I don't think the Planning Commission has the responsibility to approve that liquor license using our authority to establish suitable place.
Mr. Mayor, the council has created the process for the suitable place determination through the ordinance, which is the ordinance that requires a conditional use permit before the transfer comes before you, and that is by ordinance. Again, I understand everything that's being said. I urge the council to be somewhat cautious as we approach this.
So we have a motion before us on item number 8 to approve, as is for, let's.
Point of order, if we send this back to planning, do we have to have the questions summarized right now?
I think you would send it back to planning if that was the wish of the council with a transcript of these proceedings.
Very good, thank you.
Further, Bob Jameson.
A question, Lori. How long can they hold that license before the transfer takes place?
How long could the current owner hold it?
Yes.
Well, see, right now we're in renewal time, and I have on the renewal list a renewal for 50/50 holdings. We would have to go back and have Coconut Joe's reapply for the renewal, but they would need to be the lessee of the property. And in both cases, the licenses will expire 12/31.
Okay.
So we're under a little bit of a time crunch.
Kevin and then Pat.
I understand the dilemma, but that time crunch was not of our making, was it?
No.
Well, I think I would argue with that. I mean,
They could have come here in June.
I think he's got a valid application. He's met the deadlines. He went through the process. He went through the Planning Commission. We farmed out our vote on this topic when we sent it to the Planning Commission. We need to live with the Planning Commission's decision, particularly if it's going to harm the applicant and his license for some reason expires or whatever happens to him.
We've got the motion before us on item number 8 to approve item number 8. I see no further discussion or any motions. Dee?
Just a friendly reminder on this topic is just remember that the Planning Commission meets this Wednesday evening if, that matters to anyone.
Any other comments? Got the motion before us. See no further discussion. All in favor of the motion to approve item number 8 will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh,
No.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Stagers,
Yes.
Benninga,
Yes.
Costello,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excuse. Item 8 has been approved. Item number 9.
I would offer a substitute motion to send this back to the Planning Commission for further review based upon the discussion of this meeting this evening.
Jameson's motion is to refer back to Planning Commission. Is there a second to that motion?
Second, Litz.
Litz second.
Could I make a request? Could we also request that this be deferred then to December 17, so that we can, if the Planning Commission meets on Wednesday, then we could reconsider this on the 17th?
That's approved.
Would that
I
work?
agree with that.
Okay.
Is that okay with the maker of the motion?
Yes.
That will be added to the maker of the motion. December 17th will be added to that maker of the motion besides referring it to the Planning Commission. Then is that okay with the second?
Second.
That's okay. That's okay with this, the second on that motion. So that's Pat.
I would ask Kirby, are you comfortable with that, or would you rather see us?
Come up here, Kirby.
previous owner's license still expires, I guess, is that extended along with that?
No. Well, the current license for Waterfall Plaza would be good through 12/31, and we would have, the 17th would be our last council meeting, regular council meeting of the year.
It's okay.
So he's not harmed by the deferral? Is that correct, Gary?
So Kirby, this doesn't affect you if we have it by the 17th?
Right.
You're okay with that?
That would be fine.
Okay.
Well, my thoughts were, unless he had to find a new address, that would affect him then, possibly.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, that it would.
No doubt about that. Well, we've got a motion and been seconded to refer this back to the Planning Commission and set the date for the commission as December 17th. Is there further? Pat?
Maybe we could just have a little bit brief amount of discussions more on it. I'm kind of curious, this property is along Minnesota Avenue, and I think we can look all along up and down Minnesota Avenue and take a look at, older homes that are being replaced or torn down and put in commercial locations. And whether or not this has the correct buffer between the commercial and the residential, I don't know. But if it's zoned properly, I just don't understand where, it seems like it's an acceptable use for the property.
It's not a permitted use, it is a conditional use, and that's why they have the public reviews. So,
James.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but isn't there a plan along Minnesota Avenue and 41st to be a buffer to the first block east and west?
Yes, what we've typically tried to do in most cases is to have the buffer along the Spring Avenue and Dakota Avenue sides of either side of Minnesota Avenue. In this case, there is an alley through the middle of the block, but that's, it's obviously an older residential area, and we haven't had a chance to make that transition between the alley and the other side towards Dakota, or towards Spring Avenue.
Pat?
Mike, what likely will be the buffer? Will we change the existing property, or will the property to the west of it be changed?
I would say in this case, to be honest with you, because the property to the west is a fairly substantial residential area, that probably that transition is going to remain the way it is for quite a while.
There's a steep hill there, too. It's going to make it tough to develop for anything other than residential.
Yeah.
Further comments, questions? Got a motion to refer back to Planning Commission and come back to the council on the 17th. Is there any other further discussion or motions on that?
I guess if I could have one last opportunity to speak. I guess you talk about good moral character and locations. I know that you're concerned about that. Like we've talked about, we have gone through that whole process of the conditional use. I think that Lori, if not, I guess maybe nobody else here tonight could speak on behalf of the businesses that we run, and we certainly are good neighbors to everybody. We've never had any underage sales. We've never had any occurrences where we've had to call, police because there's violence or things like that. I just would like to reiterate that we do operate a nice, clean, friendly business. And we have other locations in the same situation where we are directly beside residential, and we've had nothing but good relations with our neighbors over the last 8 to 10 years.
Kermit?
Yeah, Brent, I'm going to put you on the spot. You said that you would be willing to defer this to December 17th. But if you had a choice between December 17th and today, what would you prefer?
I would prefer today. Like was pointed out, that is, the 17th would be fine with me if I thought we would come to a good conclusion. But if we don't, then that liquor license, just disappears.
D.
I just have a comment, it's not a question. There is no one in South Dakota that hates video lottery more than I do, but I will not be voting to send this back to the Planning Commission. The problem is just, in my opinion, so much larger than that. The business has become incredibly concentrated. Friendly reminder that doesn't apply to anyone tonight is that in 1994 and 2000, the citizens of this county voted overwhelmingly to get rid of every video lottery machine in this city, and I am so tired of this discussion, as far as this business. But anyway, I'm just explaining that I will be voting no, send it to Planning Commission, but I want to make sure that no one thinks that I am supporting video lottery in any way.
Bob Litz.
Kirby, I know you're a worthy businessman, but I got to ask you, have any of your casinos ever been robbed?
They have,
They have.
unfortunately.
Very good.
Kevin and Pat.
I would just, in response to Councilor Knutsen's comments, I would say if you really want to do something about it, then I would not suggest that you vote against this motion.
Pat.
I'm trying to figure, I'm looking at it from Kirby's eyes and looking at the council, and I'm thinking either we approve it tonight or we approve it on the 17th, or the license goes away. If there's a bad outcome, he's harmed. So I think
We got Kermit?
Yeah, I guess I would say, I don't know how many robberies you have had at your other establishments, but if you would have this establishment so close to the police department, I think you'd be a little safer there. So,
If I might add, that is a terrible thing that we do deal with is the robberies, but, you can point out also as well, there's been Pizza Huts and there's been gas stations, and there's, unfortunately, with the growth of our city, there seems to be more of that crime coming, and I hope that you don't hold that against our industry alone.
Further questions? We've got a motion before us to refer back to the Planning Commission and come back to the council on the 17th. Is there further discussions? Not. All those in favor of that motion will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Staggers,
no.
Benninga,
No.
Costello,
No?
Jameson.
Yes.
4-3. So it's referred back. Okay. Let's move on to 18.
Do we need to defer that then as well? Or how,
That was part of it.
That was part of it?
That
I think
motion
we
took care of
just
all
did,
of it.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's all done. So let's go to 18 now.
Okay, then item 18 would be,
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to excuse myself.
Oh, you bet. Be noted that Councilmember Costello will be excused from item 18.
all right, item 18 would be Exhibit B renewals, and I do have some stipulations, and of course now one deferral to make on that list. Starting with the retail liquor, DCK LLC for David's at 212 West 10th Street, requesting pending final inspection per Fire, Health, and Building Services. That is still under construction and should be done shortly. Under 50/50 Holdings, Inc., for name to be determined at 2601 South Carolyn. That would be pending final inspection per Fire and Health. Under the other 50/50 Holdings, name to be determined 325 North Minnesota Avenue, would request that that also be deferred to Monday, December 17, to correspond with the transfer. On to the second page, Q Club, Inc. for Lucky's, 224 South Phillips Avenue. That would be pending corrections per Fire. Ramkota Companies, Inc. for Best Western Ramkota Inn, 3200 West Maple Avenue, would be pending corrections per Fire. And Shenanigans, Inc., Shenanigans Pub, 4001 West 41st Street, number 502, would also be pending corrections per Fire. Continuing on to the, I think packaged liquor, we didn't have any stipulations. Retail wine, we do. Royal Financial LLC for Winner's Circle Casino, and this is at the northwest corner of Madison and Marion. That should be pending inspections per Fire and Building Services. That's either under construction or will be soon. And then for Natalia Scott's for Touch of Europe, 337 South Phillips Avenue, that would be pending corrections per Fire. And I can answer questions on any of these renewals on Exhibit B.
Are there questions of Lori on items that she spoke on? No, Kevin?
Laurie, I noticed that none of these applicants have any 2007 liquor sting violations.
That is correct. Those will come before you on December 17.
Several had 2006 convictions.
Mhm.
My question is, and maybe you can't answer this, but I'm curious, were those same establishments targeted for the liquor sting in 2007?
Yes, they were.
Good.
They were. I put the information together for the police department when they do the stings, and every package licensee and every packaged liquor and every packaged malt beverage licensee was involved.
Thank you.
So yes, they were.
Further questions of Lori on the items in 18?
I move for approval, Benninga.
Benninga moved. Is there a second?
Second, Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion to approve item 18 will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Knutson,
Yes.
Litz,
Yes.
Stagers,
Yes.
Benninga,
Yes.
Jameson.
Yes.
How many President voted? 6 yes, 2 excused. Item 18 has been approved. Item 19.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by adding the power to inspect license in Chapter 17, Food and Food Handlers, along with repealing Article 3, Meat and Meat Products, and Article 4, Milk and Milk Products.
Judy Buseman, Health Director. This is our second read on this. I'll just do a real short summary. There are no operational changes in any of this ordinance language as it is before you. What we are doing is some major housekeeping with deletions, if you've noticed. The Article 3 and 4 take out the slaughterhouses and the ability to inspect, and dairy, which has their own process that is well-regulated and should be out of our ordinance. The other wording changes that we've done is in Chapter 23, we have updated the food service language into our licensing, but it was never updated to add that language in this one. There are some other minor wording languages where we said did it to be more definitive. I could go through those, but that's really the summary. So.
Questions of Judy on item 19. Kermit?
Yeah, Judy, I just have a few questions to understand how this ordinance is actually implemented.
Okay.
For example, we have down here, no food shall be exposed for sale upon any sidewalk without approval by the health department. So when we have the German Fest, are they going to have to get a certificate from the health department? How's that work?
That is all done through temporary permit, and that's outlined in our license in Chapter 23, the temporary permits.
Okay. Do they have to pay for that?
It depends on the type of, if they're a business, a commercial business, yes. If they're a 501(c), they do not.
Okay. Do we have any jurisdiction over the fair?
No.
Okay. This one here, can you explain this one? No store, room, or other enclosure in which food is sold, prepared, handled, stored, or served shall be directly connected with any sleeping room or living space of a dwelling, apartment, or tenement.
Right. You wouldn't want to have living space where you're having food prepared commercially.
You said linen?
Living, sleeping and living type space. So you wouldn't want somebody to have a sleepover next door to where they're preparing food.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, and then also, too, labeling, Section 17-15.
17-15, okay.
Yes, and at the last phrase, where you, well, first of all, who does this labeling apply to here in Sioux Falls? All uncooked meat containing artificial coloring, antioxidants.
It would be for processing. So you would have, this, remember, has food processing too. So if somebody is putting packaging meat, and they're doing it in the things that you'd have to have that plainly labeled in that fashion.
Okay, so like Sunshine, when they grind some.
Right.
But I notice here you have to have the purpose of whatever is added to the meat. You have to give the purpose. I've never seen any labeling where...
You're right. We didn't get, that's old language also.
Okay. Do you want me to have an amendment to delete that?
It's up to you.
Okay.
Further questions to Judy on number 19? Others that wish to address the council on item 19? Council discussion or action?
I move for approval. Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second, let's
second it. Further comments?
Yeah, I'll just add the amendment here then. Section 17-15, dealing with labeling, to delete purpose of whatever is added to the meats. And then put a period after amount, and then put and between name and amount. I think that makes sense. So it would read, if I can just read it, all uncooked meat containing artificial coloring, antioxidants, preservatives, or any other substance shall be plainly labeled to inform the purchaser of the name and amount.
That's your motion?
Mm-hmm.
Did you get that, Amy?
I'll second that motion.
Just Knutson, second. Go ahead, Pat.
Councilor Staggers, I wonder, and Judy, help me, isn't the amount and purpose of whatever is added, so to tell the consumer the reason that a particular item was added to the meat, isn't that common?
I think some purposes are identified. Some of them would be assumed when you look at salt and antioxidants. People understand what they are, but not everything has its purpose labeled. So it would be, I don't know that anybody goes through and absolutely looks to see that the purpose is 100% there. Is what it should. Should it be? Sure, it would be the best identification on that process. This is a very limited piece of what we, again, if you look at what we inspect on it, that would be more common to commercially labeled kinds of process. And I think this is the way it's written from if you look at the FDA standards and the commercial, is it the way that every item is reviewed? It probably fits a little bit more to the packaging of food items, so which isn't widely what we inspect. So this would be standard language, is what you're getting to.
I understand why Councilor Stagger wants to get rid of it, and on the face of things, I guess I would agree with him. But I just wonder if we haven't really thought this through, and there might be a reason that this was in there that we just aren't picking up tonight.
I think there certainly is a reason why they have purpose in there. It's not, you don't see it widely on all labels at this point. But
and I would argue that there's certainly a trend in the industry for more food safety than less food safety.
That's true.
I guess if I could respond that, taking a look at foods on the shelf of stores and buying meat, I don't recall ever seeing a purpose for purpose given for an additive. I mean, I've seen additives, but there is no explanation as to what that additive is to do. It's just simply listed in the labeling. So I would contend what we have right now without this amendment is tougher than federal regulations are.
I think what you see, some things they're labeled and they'll say preservatives, and then they'll say antioxidants, they'll say red food coloring, thinking that people understand what red food coloring does, salt and some of those pieces. Mm-hmm. This gives you this gives us the ability to require something if we identify that there's something that should be labeled in this. Is it part of the broad process? I mean, we don't do broad process food inspections. That's left to the commercial vendors. So it's in here as it is at the FDA standard at that level. But I would agree with Councilman Costello that the broader language you have, that you have the ability to require that as necessary if you want it.
Are we requiring it anywhere today?
I can't think of a specific.
No, I'm not aware of any place.
Specific. I would point out that if you look at some commercial, you will see some of those items labeled. You'll see preservatives, and then they'll list those items.
But I go to Sunshine, I look at the meat, I don't see, I just see the ingredients it's given. That's it.
I would argue that I'm sorry. I would argue that they probably don't add anything to their meat, so it's not on the label.
Let's go to Bob Litz.
Oh, there's an old adage that says you should never watch law and sausage be made, but I think we might be talking about both of them here tonight. Now, in this conversation, the thing that comes to mind for me is if you're grinding up deer sausage, sometimes they put grains in there for filler, and it is marked as such. And I don't know if that would be what we're talking about here or not, but it came to my mind as the conversation progressed.
Mayor, I would like to withdraw my second.
Motion to withdraw the second. So,
Well, I'm not going to withdraw my motion, so.
well, now we're just looking for a second.
Yes.
Can we shop around? Anybody, is there a second?
And one
to the
reason
motion?
I wasn't even going to do the amendment until I asked Judy, what do you think if I do the amendment? Okay. So we're not even doing this in Sioux Falls. So this is just added power
Yes.
that we've given to the health department. Just in the future, they might, on a
let's
whim,
ask-
decide to do this.
Let's see if we can go up and down. Is there a second? No. It dies for lack of a second, so we're back to the main motion. The motion been made and seconded to approve item 19 for the discussion. Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh? Yes. Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 19 has been approved. Item 20.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by increasing sign permit fees.
This proposed change to our zoning ordinance, or to our sign permit fee ordinance, I should say, would increase the basic rate for sign permits by $3. The last time that we updated our sign ordinance fees, or sign permit fees, was in 2005. And within the Building Services Division, we have a goal to review our permit fees every 3 years to determine if they should be revised. The proposed increase is to look at covering the administrative cost of both processing the permits and well as performing the inspections after the work is completed. In this case, the basic sign permit for the signs up to 50 square feet would increase from $27 to $30. And the largest signs that we permit, which would be any sign or billboard exceeding 200 square feet, the basic rate for that would increase from $36 to $39. Again, this is a cycle that we've tried to do every 3 years, and I was reminded today that when there's fee increases that are proposed for the operating budget, that the council has asked that we come in with these prior to the adoption of the budget, and so we are obviously behind with this one, and that's a good reminder for me today as well as for the rest of our staff for the future.
Questions of Mike. Kermit?
Yeah, Mike, I have a number of questions on this one. Number 5, portable sign permit fees, $20. Now, I was going to ask, I think maybe my colleagues in the council will be interested in your response on this one. Is there anything specific in ordinance about exempting political signs?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure about that
Yes.
one. There's a sigh of relief there.
Yeah, there's requirements as far as where they can be posted and how long, but they're not subject to a fee.
So we don't have to pay a fee.
Yes.
That's good. So why do private businesses have to pay a fee?
These are permanent signs.
On private property?
Yeah, on the case of the portable sign, is that what you're asking?
Well, no, I mean, okay.
Or just
when we
fees in
engage
general?
Yeah, when we engage in a campaign, we're out there, we have maybe, a couple hundred, 300 signs around the city, and, okay, I'm glad we don't have to pay any fees, but also, I guess I'm extending that to the private business, too. Why do we want to charge them?
Well, signs that are put up on a temporary basis, such as rummage sale signs or real estate signs, have been exempt since probably the sign ordinance was initially adopted.
And that's...
Because they are temporary in nature. The portable sign does require a permit fee because that is one that we do go out and verify the location because of the time and the type of structure that those signs are used for display purposes.
Sure.
But the paper signs that you're talking about have
We're
been
talking
exempt.
about something more than paper.
Yeah.
Mhm.
More substantial than that.
Yeah. But also, I have a couple more questions. How much additional revenue do you anticipate bringing in with this fee increase?
Probably in the range of $3,000 to $5,000, $3,000 to $5,000.
And also, too, if you could respond to a concern I have. It's kind of a conflict of interest concern. If you're a private business, and you want to have a successful business, you want to have a good sign. So what you're going to try to do is to have a sign that's appropriate for your business. But the city now is saying, well, we're going to require you to have an inspection of your sign. You have no choice. You have to have that. And then at the same time later on, we're going to say, well, we're going to charge you this much money for it. Because most businesses would just prefer not to have this. And so this is, in effect, raising money for the city by making a requirement that most businesses wouldn't even want to have. Can you respond to that, Nick?
I sure can. Thank you. Two things. First of all, the purpose of charging a fee is because of the enforcement of requiring inspections and permits. There's staff time involved in issuing the permits, and there's staff time involved in going out and doing the inspections. And so the purpose of the permit fee is to cover those administrative costs. The reason that we do these inspections is because of trying to ensure that the requirements that are in our zoning ordinance, which have been approved by the City Council, that they are being maintained as part of the sign installation process.
Further questions of Mike? Others that wish to address the council on item number 20? Not, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve. Let's
move. Is there a second?
Second, Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litch?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. Item 20 has been approved. Item 21.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, transferring real property to the Affordable Housing Program as established by ordinance number 101-07.
Dwight McElhaney, Community Development. This ordinance is a transfer of a parcel of city property, 207 South Sycamore Avenue, to Community Development's Affordable Housing Program. Fire Department purchased this property, which is just north of their Sycamore Avenue station, in 2006. They have use for the south 60 feet of the lot and wish to donate the balance of the property for the development of affordable housing. It is Community Development's intent to build a wheelchair-accessible house that will be sold to an income-eligible special needs household. This property is approximately 102 feet by 117 feet. If transferred to the Affordable Housing Program, we will work with local organizations that work with people with special needs. This will include the various organizations that work with disabled veterans. With your support, we hope to develop an affordable housing opportunity that will greatly enhance the lives of a special needs household.
Thanks, Dwight. Questions, Dwight Kermit?
Yeah, just to clarify, I think when we talked about this before, we're estimating that the property that the city's giving up is about $25,000. Is that right?
Well,
Is that the
I think
estimate?
when we talked about that, that was my estimate on,
okay,
on what
yes.
a lot in this area would
Yes.
probably
Okay.
be worth.
Okay. I'm just making sure
Sure.
that was the right number.
Further questions of Dwight? Others that wish to address the council on item number 21? Is there a motion to approve?
I
Move
so
for
move.
approval. Jamison?
I second that motion.
Jamison moved,
Knutson.
Knutson seconded. Further comments on that motion? Go ahead.
Well, my primary concern here is not necessarily with the transfer of $25,000, but what's going to happen after that, because we have a track record here in the city government of building these affordable homes, and, we might spend $150,000 building a home and so forth, then we sell it for $110,000. So that's really my primary concern, is that's what's really going to happen.
Well, when we're talking about the neighborhood revitalization program, these are federal funds, and that's certainly a legitimate use for these funds. It's for the development of affordable housing for low and moderate income people, and it does come with a cost.
Yeah.
But, in that particular program, I think we've talked about before that there's another element of that, and it's the elimination of blight. A lot of these properties, most of these properties that we have purchased, were structures that we wanted to get rid of, that by raising those properties, we really did something positive for those neighborhoods and for the city.
But the only problem here, this is not blighted property.
No,
We
this
have
is
a
a
fire
special-
station
this is a
there.
special
and At least I hope the fire
situation.
station's not in bad shape, but once again, that is my primary concern. This is going to be a
Sure.
big money loser.
Other question? We've got a motion that's been made and seconded to approve item number 21. Any further questions? I see none. All in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. Item 21 has been approved. Item 22.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, providing supplemental appropriations. Public Works Street Department, $575,000.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight, shortly before the council meeting, I gave you a memo, and based on recent weather event, a forecast that we received late this afternoon that really speaks to a pattern that we're going to start to see that's probably very similar to this last weekend, and with the timing to bring an ordinance of another supplement, if so needed, forward. Tonight, we would ask that we would raise the supplement amount from $575 to $2 million. I've got a recent forecast for you that Galen Huber will bring you. He's the street utility manager. And then just to give you some additional insight on the available fund balance, Gene Roanhorse is here as well. Galen?
Galen Huber, Street Utility Manager. I'd like to stand here tonight and tell you that the December forecast is going to look like November, but unfortunately that's not the case. I rely very heavily on what the National Weather Service provides. They have 4 models that they track, and from those models they make a determination on how the weather's going to come and impact the city of Sioux Falls. I make my recommendations on equipment, manpower, scheduling based a lot on the information that I receive from them. I talk with them quite on a daily basis, and today we probably talked to them about 4 different times, the last time being around 3 o'clock this afternoon. What I'd like to do is just walk you through the next couple weeks based on that's the information that the models show right now. After you get out 2 weeks, it's tough to really track where that model's coming in. But over the next 2 weeks, this is the forecast that I received at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Starting tomorrow morning around 10 a.m., there's a Canadian clipper coming through Sioux Falls. The temperature will be about 25 degrees. We will get measurable precip in the form of freezing rain. Around noon, the weather is going to moderate. We'll get temperatures right at 33, 34 degrees. It'll be just above freezing. That's good for us. Around 7 o'clock, another front will come through. Again, we will get measurable precip, and it will be in the form of freezing rain. These little nuisance storms that we get do tax our system in that, not that I place contractors out there, but I do use chemical to alleviate the frost, the freezing rain that's out on the streets. Wednesday will be dry. Thursday night, there's a system that's going to come through that's going to produce about 2 to 3 inches of snow for us. That's December 6th, this Thursday. On Friday, December 7th, and Saturday, December 8th, there's another system that's the same type of system that we just experienced this weekend. The model's showing that it's coming out of the southwest, the Four Corners area. Typically, those models bring a lot of moisture with them. They're predicting about 3 to 5 inches potential for Sioux Falls at that time. The next 5 days are looking okay as far as models go, but on December 13th, which is a Thursday, through the 15th, there's a model that matches the one that just came through and a model that's matching the one that's projected to come through this weekend. So over the next 2 weeks, I potentially have 2 more storms that are going to dump snow like they did this previous weekend. I tried to calculate. I won't be able to tell you exactly to the penny what this storm just came through, what it cost. But what we did is we did a project based on some numbers that I have in and some numbers that I have from a 4-inch storm that we had in February of this year. And basically, I'm right at $500,000 cost on this storm that we just had. The reason for that is we called our contractors out, and it also hit us on a weekend. So the overtime was in effect.
Questions again, Dee?
Just a quick comment, Galen. I would just like to thank you and your staff for a fabulous job this weekend getting rid of the almost 4 inches of snow, and I'm sorry that you're giving us such a dreary report for the rest of this year.
Thank you. Thank you
further
for
questions?
giving you a bad forecast, but
Kermit and Pat.
Yes, Galen, I know it's difficult to figure out what's really going to be happening, and I'm glad you're checking with the Weather Service on this. But in trying to figure out when we're going to have a storm, are we also at the same time trying to figure out how to alleviate overtime? So in other words, if we anticipate a storm this coming weekend, are we going to try to have a situation where we don't have people working maybe Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so they can work on the weekend, so we don't have overtime?
I currently do that right now.
Okay.
Basically, starting in November, I split shifts. I have people working 24 hours a day on different shifts. It's their regular routine hours, so that there's somebody always covering the streets at any given time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, through holidays. I'll have somebody, I had somebody there on Thanksgiving, I'll have somebody there on Christmas, I'll have somebody there on New Year's. So I try to split that as best as I can to make sure that I have people available watching the streets and schedule the best I can. This past spring, or this past year, January, February, March, I had events, all but one hit me on the weekend. Every one of them came on the weekend except one. And unfortunately, the way that I'm set up, and other work that I have to do, the majority of my employees are set up on a Monday through Friday basis.
But I guess I'm still not quite sure about adjusting their schedules so we have them work on the weekend when we anticipate the storm. So we try to eliminate overtime, to try to save money.
That's certainly something we could look at more in depth, to take a look at.
Yeah.
One thing that we do right now, and up until the whole month of November, I had my staff, the majority of my staff was working on a Monday through Friday basis. There's lots of projects that I was able to do because I had that staff working on a Monday through Friday basis. When I split my staff, I reduced the efficiency at which they're able to do projects. And so, because I have fewer people on at any given time, I have to take a look at what projects we can do and what projects we don't do. We pride ourselves in the fact that we try to help all divisions within Public Works and other departments to assist them with projects along with our own department.
Of course, my concern, I understand where you're coming from. I know it's extremely difficult to adjust the schedules and everything. But the overtime is just, so significant. You mentioned $500,000 this last snowstorm. Any estimate how much of that was overtime?
$84,000.
$84,000, okay.
But when you also, and you bring other departments in, and then you run 12-hour shifts until you get all the snow cleared away, too. So
that's correct.
You can't, it's really it's a hard thing, and if it comes on weekends, that's extra, so it's really hard to quantify that. Pat, you had a...
Galen, I was wondering, regarding the removal of the snow on certain arterial roads in downtown, when we're looking at, back-to-back snow events like that, is there any efficiency to save by waiting until maybe a little bit later to do all that snow removal? I don't know how large of a component it is. I'm just trying to think of ideas that might help save some money.
Right. When we feel that we have a back-to-back snowstorm, if they're within a couple days, we like to do that. The problem with it is, one of the reasons for us having to pick up snow is a lot of sidewalks butt up against the gutter pans, so we're limiting access for anybody that needs to use that sidewalk. And what we do is we come back and pull it back off into the center of the road, put it in a windrow, and pick it up. The other area is the downtown area. We concentrate pretty hard on picking up the snow in the downtown area. The downtown area throughout a winter can't absorb a lot of snow being piled up in it, so we're required to come in and pick up snow in certain areas. But certainly if we had a snowstorm that came through in the weekend and we seen another one coming through on Tuesday, we would certainly not take a look at doing anything until after the major front has gone through. And that's one thing that we always talk to the Weather Service about. When is the event going to go through the Sioux Falls area so we can anticipate what it is that we do. And again, the Weather Service has been very good to us. They're very proactive. I don't know if you remember on Saturday afternoon, but we were starting to move off the emergency routes, go into the residential area. They called us and said we have a major squall coming through that's going to dump up to an inch of snow, very poor visibility. We brought everybody back onto the emergency routes for fear that we were going to ice up and lose our emergencies. So they were very proactive, and it hit right exactly when they said it was going to hit. So the information that they provided is as good as we believe we can get in this area.
Follow up, just when did you start picking up snow off the streets on this last event?
We started at about 8:30 yesterday morning.
Was there any opportunity to delay that 24 hours to avoid the overtime?
What our plan was is not to impact the commuters coming in on Monday morning. And so what we decided, basically the process is, we do a lot of our pickup at night, and to avoid the traffic, because we have a lot of large equipment out there, and we have a hard enough time the way it is with the traffic. So we try to do this at night, especially the downtown area. And, certainly we could have looked at delaying it a day. I probably would field more phone calls today than what I did by delaying it by a day. But, that's certainly something that we can say, that we're trying to eliminate overtime, and we're going to delay the process on how long it takes us to pick up the snow.
But what you try to do is you try to get it so that on Monday morning, everybody can flow traffic, just normally get in and out of downtown a lot easier, because sometimes it gets pretty congested down there if you don't
The only comment I would have is, were you on 41st Street in front of the mall at 4 o'clock yesterday?
No, I was not.
Well, that's when you were moving all the snow to the middle. And on a Christmas holiday weekend, it was a mess.
Yeah. We had some, we tried to avoid those areas as best as we can. We make judgments on when we go in and go to certain areas. We based our judgment on what we thought was best for the citizens. We try to be efficient with the money that we have to do the job. And should we have been on 41st Street at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon? Right now, it doesn't seem like it was probably a very wise thing to do. But what we did able to do is able to get that snow off of 41st Street, so that starting today, they didn't have the problem with a lot of people. We put windrows up. They don't like to wait and go through where we make an opening, and they'll shoot through, and we end up having to help them get out of the windrow.
Kevin?
Just a comment, whether or not you picked up the snow on that windrow on 41st Street yesterday at 4 o'clock, that's a judgment call. But if you had not picked it up, you'd have had windrows there. And that's the point. I think those are just, I don't know what happened, but East 10th this morning, it had windrows. You couldn't get to it. And I can tell you, I only take about 10 minutes to get to work, but it took me 20 this morning. And that's an extremely frustrating thing for a lot of people to see. Are we spoiled? Yes, we are. But I think what you just said about fielding phone calls is probably significant. I think getting that snow off of the roadways is what our citizens are demanding of us, and I suspect you're going to err on the side of doing that if you do anything.
I don't know if anybody had trouble with their snow blower and this weather or snow that we had. It was really firm on us, and our equipment is the same way. We had extreme amount of trouble with our big blowers and shearing pins off. And our plan was to be done with the snow pickup this morning. Of course, that plan didn't work out because of our equipment. We're hitting it again tonight at 12 o'clock. I got a full shift coming in tonight. They were off. They were on tonight, and I hope to have tomorrow morning no snow left to pick up.
Further question, Bob Jameson.
Galen, back to the overtime issue. How many of your employees are involved in the overtime, and how many from other departments?
I have, within my division, within streets, I have approximately 50 full-time employees. Within utilities, within streets, I have 50 full-time employees. Within utility maintenance, I have 15 full-time employees. And within traffic device maintenance, I have 7 full-time employees. Those employees are all report to the snow operation. Outside of those employees, there's up to 200 employees then that work for the City of Sioux Falls that assist with that. That is public parking. They're doing the ticketing, the police department, fleet management, All of those are in the background. You don't see those people, but they're the ones that are keeping my equipment running so that I can run on 24 hours. And so I have approximately 200 city employees that are assisting with this operation.
And my point is that those people, you don't control their day-to-day hours. They come to you as a supplement to your division to help in the snow removal, so they get overtime paid by your department because of those people coming. And so consequently, that's a good share of the overtime. It's not just your personal employees that are getting all the overtime. There's other departments that are getting overtime because they came to help you out.
That's correct.
That's right. Because we got commercial driver's license, that's exactly right. We got people from parks coming in, we got people from water and other areas.
I had a question about the overtime. And the overtime, is overtime time and a half for the city?
That's correct, except on Christmas.
Which it would be double time.
Double time.
But that's not, we're talking about time and a half right now.
That's right.
Is that correct? On that, was $84,000 the amount that you mentioned, Galen, that you paid for the overtime?
That's correct. That's based on, again, I can't tell you that number exactly until next week. We have to go through our payroll, puts down the exact numbers, but this is based on what we would call average wages on history for the number of people that we had, but that's correct.
Okay, but that 84,000 or whatever the number is, that includes the full-time and the half-time, is that correct?
That's correct.
So the reality is one-third of that number is actually overtime money, and two-thirds of it would have been paid anyway if somebody would have worked a regular hour. Which, is that correct? So we're talking $28,000 instead of $56,000 is actual overtime money that was spent.
If they exceeded 40 hours.
I think this $84,000 represents all overtime dollars. There's no regular hours.
Right. But what I'm saying is if you paid somebody, let's say $10 an hour and $15 was the overtime, you'd still have the $10 an hour paying somebody that even if they weren't running on overtime. Is that correct?
That's correct if it was during their 40-hour work week.
Yeah. So, but I mean, even if you had an additional employee that was just starting his 40 hours, you'd still be paying him the $10. So
that's right.
The reality is one-third of that amount is true overtime.
Further questions?
I just have a comment, and I appreciate everybody's extra work in pre-planning and making sure that we have a budget that will carry us through the end of the year so that when we do have another snowfall, we will have money in place. And I also want to make sure that you understand that in the 5 years I've been around, I've never had a call saying that you guys remove snow too fast. That was funny. And the other thing is I think it's a priority for this community to always have safety first. And you guys have used that as your mission, and you've done a very good job of doing that, and I think you ought to be commended for that.
Thank you.
Kermit.
Yeah, Galen, I've had a number of people tell me about how great they thought the city did here this last storm, getting the snow off the streets. And I agree, too. I think you did a fantastic job. Let me just mention 2 phone calls I did receive, though. And one was from a senior citizen, and also another one was a person who lived in a cul-de-sac. And their concern was in regard to all the snow and ice in the driveways. And those people specifically mentioned it would be nice if the city would try out snow gates. And so that's something I'm just communicating to you. I don't know how familiar you are with snow gates in other cities, but is there any way the Public Works could take a look into that just to see if that might be a possibility of doing this in Sioux Falls so that we won't have all the snow going into people's driveways and senior citizens and people on cul-de-sacs who really get a normal amount of snow in their driveway?
I know that that's of interest, and I hear that same thing.
Yes.
I had the same call
Yes.
today. And we've actually taken a look up in North Dakota. They tend to get a little bit more snow than we do up there. And the snow gates that they use up there, first of all, they don't have the program that we have. We cover every inch, including the alleyways, every lineal foot, including the alleyways.
Sure.
They only stick to emergency areas, emergency routes, and any of the driveways that they go to. Their budgeted dollar amount for what they have to do, when I took a look at it, it would expand my budget considerably for the time that it would take and the equipment that it would take for me to go through and use a snow gate on the different driveways that we would have to deal with. Again, we try to provide the best service, and the best service we feel is getting the snow pushed off the street to allow a safe surface, driving surface out there. And in order for us to use snow gates, it would slow down our process to the point where we would either need to add a lot more equipment and manpower to do that, or it would slow down the process that we probably couldn't achieve that 48-hour curb-to-curb snow being moved off the street.
Yeah, no, I can understand that, that's a possibility it could happen. But the thing is, we've never experimented here with snow gates. And in the past, I've advocated that we, just buy 2 snow gates and try it out. And, what you're saying might turn out to be true, or it might turn out differently. And, that's something I wish the Public Works would just think about experimenting instead of just, well, this is the way we've always done it, and so we're going to continue doing it this way without, checking to see if it might work. Maybe it won't work, but at least we should try.
I had the pleasure of serving as a Commissioner of Public Works from 1989 to 1994, and we talked about snow gates back then. And we conducted a study back then, and we contacted different cities around the country and asked about snow gates. Snow gates will not work in a cul-de-sac. There's not sufficient front yard area to take the snow off a driveway and dump it into a small area. It won't work. You can't do cul-de-sacs because the distance between the driveways are too narrow. And I appreciate Kermit Stager's concern about snow gates, but I think rather than reinvent the wheel, we should go back to the fact that other communities that have done it or are using it in a different manner than being considered for our snow removal process.
Well, if I could reply, I guess if other cities are doing it in a different way, maybe we can try that out too to see if it might work here. We're not trying anything different. We're just doing the same old way. And, once again, Galen, I'm happy. I think the city is doing a fantastic job of getting the snow off the streets. So we're doing a great job there. Now, is there a way we can improve this in the future? And maybe there are certain areas of the city that would be appropriate for snow gates, and we should experiment to try it out. It's not going to hurt to experiment with just buying a couple snow gates and putting them on the plows and see what happens.
Let's get back on track here. We're talking about the supplemental here tonight to see if we can move forward with that issue that we have before us tonight. Is there other questions of Galen or Mark? Go ahead.
In addition, just as we go through December and as we see the forecast change, one thing that we will provide to you by email is an update on the street budget going forward. The next one we'll do about is mid-month, and then as we close out the month. So anticipate about mid-month, December 15th, we'll send you an email and give you some sense of where we're at based on current forecast and available budget. Anything else tonight?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Just a comment, if it doesn't snow, don't blow it on something else, Mike.
It'll be used for snow removal purposes.
That's it.
Move for approval, item number 22.
With the amendment.
We'll take that separate.
Okay.
Is that with the amendment?
No, and then we'll vote on the amendment.
Okay, you want motion by Jameson, and who seconded? Kevin seconded.
Mr. Chair, I have an amendment.
Okay.
I would move to change the dollar amount from $575,000 to $2 million.
Second, Jameson.
Okay, Kavanaugh made the motion to amend, seconded by Jameson. Everybody understand that motion to amend? All in favor of the motion to amend will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
So, Council Members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Stagers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. That that motion has been approved. 7 yes, 1 excused. We're back to the main motion as amended. Further discussion? Seeing no further discussion, all in favor of approving item 22 as amended will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Council Members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Stagers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 22 has been approved. 7 yes, 1 excused as amended. Item 23.
Second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the revised ordinances of the city by revising the screening requirements for outdoor storage.
This is an amendment to our zoning ordinance that clarifies our requirements for outdoor storage and also for recycling dumpsters that are required to be screened. And the requirement that we have in the ordinance is with a 6-foot opaque fence or wall. This is an issue that has been looked at and is being presented to you by the staff with a recommendation by the Planning Commission.
Questions of Mike on item number 23? Others that wish to address the council on item number 23? Is there a motion by the council to approve?
I so move. Knutson.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second, Litz.
Litz second. Further comments on that motion? There being none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
No.
Benninga?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. Item 23 has been approved. Item 24.
Second reading, rezone, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at West 60th Street North and North Westport Avenue from the agricultural district to the general commercial and light industrial district to rezone for future development and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This property is approximately 24 acres in size. It is located on the south side of 60th Street North and east of Westport Avenue. The proposed rezoning would divide this into 2 zoning districts, including approximately 9 acres that would be for future commercial on the north side, and the balance, which is just over 15 acres, would be zoned light industrial or I-1.
Questions of Mike on item number 24? Others that wish to address the council on item 24? Is there a motion?
Move for approval, Benninga.
Benninga moved. Who seconded? Litz seconded? Litz seconded. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 24 has been approved. Item 25.
Second reading, rezone, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property at West Benson Road and North Marion Road from the agricultural district to residential general office, and the Hazeltine Plan Development Districts to zone and develop 160 acres of land, amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This property is on the north side of West Benson Road and on the west side of North Marion Road. As stated in the agenda, it's about 160 acres of land, and it is proposed to be divided up into a number of different land uses, I should say zoning districts, and this is very similar to the land use amendment that has been previously approved by the City Council. As I said before, we've been working with developers on trying to come up with ways of designated development areas where we have limited access along the intersection of 2 arterial streets. And so you'll see in this case that we have a significant portion that's proposed for residential on the north side, multifamily on the northeast, office institutional on the southwest, and then in the corner, we have a planned development concept that will be provided for mixed-use development that will include a combination of different uses, including commercial, office, and multifamily.
Questions of Mike on item number 25.
And I'm sorry, I should also say that item 34, which is coming up later on the agenda, will be the same, include the same property.
Mike, I understand with this development, we're having new planning principles instituted here. Can you state some of those to give us a good idea what's going to happen?
I would say the major issue that we're dealing with is that we are now trying to limit access on major arterials to at least a quarter mile. So in other words, the first street intersection or major intersection would be approximately 1/4 mile back from the intersection. Prior to that, there were driveways allowed closer to the intersection, and in some cases we would carve off maybe a 10-acre, 20-acre corner that could be a C-store or some other retail-type development. Well, now that we're pushing the access farther back off the intersections in order to provide for better traffic access, what we're trying to do is match that idea with a better land use concept. And working with the development community, we've looked at places like Lincoln, Nebraska, Omaha, that have been doing this for quite some time, that the corners would now not necessarily have a convenience store right at the intersection, but probably the retail use would be over to where the major street intersection is. And that as you look at the rest of that intersection, it might be multifamily or even office uses. So that's the concept that we're trying to shift in response to looking at the access management policies that we're starting to adopt.
Is the applicant here tonight, Steve?
Yes.
I could ask him some questions.
Good evening, Steve Van Buskirk, 5101 South Nevada Avenue.
Yeah, I don't know, this seems to be radically different from previous development here we've had in Sioux Falls. Can you say something about, what do you think about this these new planning principles here?
Well, we talked a little bit last time also. I think with the new access management plan, we've all gotten kind of, I want to say all of us, the development community is getting used to these ideas of how it's going to change the dynamics of these neighborhoods. And that corner of Benson and Marion Road there, having a mixed-use facility, the plant, the PD requirements has, no more than 50% commercial written into the PD requirements. So we're going to see a mixed use in there. So we're looking for some office and some commercial and some, multifamily, on that commercial. So it'll give us a chance to really build up a neighborhood, because I think we might have talked last time a little bit,
Yes.
in the old days, 6 months ago, the old days, we used to have these corners were spread out amongst the four corners. You'd have the bank on one corner and the strip mall one, the gas station, and the multifamily on the different corners. But I think from my perspective, as these roads are going to get faster, they're just going to get faster. We're going to have medians in there. We're backing up the access points a quarter mile back. Having a place where people can come out of the neighborhoods and go down to the neighborhood commercial areas, and they're within the property, so to speak. They don't have to cross Benson, they don't have to cross Marion Road to get to those. And it's inconvenient for pedestrian traffic. I think it's very inconvenient for pedestrians, but inconvenient for cars, because you have to weave your way around this much traffic to get across the streets.
So this new kind of these new planning principles are based a lot on trying to increase pedestrian traffic. Is that right?
Yeah, some of it. It's I think a lot of it, really, that's secondary to tightening up the access to these arterial roads. So that's that's the direction we're heading. There's we're going down that path now. Quarter mile access is the direction we're heading. And it's creating new thinking on all of our parts on how this is going to affect these larger tracts of land.
Yeah, has anybody considered the citizens, the people who do the shopping and all this kind of stuff? Myself, I like convenience, and I think many people like convenience. And here it seems like we're shuffling it off to and not having in the most convenient area. Myself, and I think also many citizens, like easy access. Now we're making access more difficult. Now we have to figure out, where are we going to turn off here? We've got to go a quarter of a mile to turn and all this. I guess I'm very concerned about the convenience that's going to be taken away from people driving cars and trying to go into a business or whatever the case might be.
Yeah, and I think as we've gone through this process with limited access, we've been wrestling with these issues, just, I think the development community and the planning department, the engineering department have been also concerned about these, but, the idea is to, clean up these streets so that, the traffic can move faster. We're talking about snow removal and easy commutes. It's the same, the same theory, I guess, getting the, throttle down these access points so it doesn't slow them down. So it's just a new way to operate, and we're all going to have to get used to it. When we see, when we see what's on the corner of Benson and Marion Road, we know, we're going to have to start thinking more in the frontage road concept. It's kind of
I mean, I've lived in areas where there is that frontage road and all that kind of stuff, and it's extremely confusing, extremely confusing. And this is what I'm concerned about now with these new planning principles. We have to take into account, what the people want, instead of, some kind of plan that somebody has they think is going to work a lot better. And so I guess I'm very concerned here about the direction we're going here. Also, at the same time, I'm concerned here. Do you see is there additional cost? Well, there's additional cost here for you to develop this?
Well, not as much as reimbursing for arterial street projects, but Mark left already. So, but I don't know. I'm not sure that is going to. We still have arterial streets. We have less driveways. We have, maybe we're still probably going to have stoplights at the quarter mile and a half mile. We're probably only going to do that anyway. So I have a hard time quantifying it on our side of it. Not necessarily. There's nothing really glaring at me if it's going to add cost to us or not.
Other questions of Steve or Mike, Council? Others that wish to address the Council on item number 25?
If I could just quickly comment that part of the concept of this zoning proposal is really to create more neighborhood service areas, whereas we can have larger tracts of land that would have places for retail, office, and even living closer to one particular area, so that we don't have as much inconvenience as Council Staggers is talking about. So that's really part of the concept here, is to improve accessibility and to improve the neighborhood services that are close by where people are going to be living, shopping, working, whatever the case might be, or recreating.
If I could just comment, that's my concern. That's not going to happen. Because the reason I say that is because we're having planning done from the top down here, instead of allowing developers who are putting their money on the line trying to respond to the marketplace making these decisions. That's my real concern. Because in the planning department, you don't have to worry about making any money off this project. Steve has to worry about making money off this project. And, if he would develop this land, I know he would develop it differently than this, because he wants to make sure he can make money off of this. So that's my real concern. The city has no real vested interest as far as making money here, but the developer does. And so we might be imposing things on the developer that's going to be detrimental.
Well, as far as top-down zoning or planning, in this case, the corner, which is the planned development, provides more flexibility to the developer to react to what the future markets are going to be. Whereas if we said it all had to be commercial or all office or all multifamily, then we are limiting what the market is going to dictate out here. In this case, we've given the developer complete flexibility as to how they deal with it in the future.
Other questions of Mike, Pat?
Mike, did this standard for the access go through the IRAB board?
Yes, it has.
And IRAB board is made up of a number of developers in the community?
Right. That's correct.
Other questions?
So we've been working really hard with the development community on this.
Others that wish to address the Council on item number 25? Is there a motion by the Council?
Move to
approve.
I second that motion.
Knutson seconded. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to vote for this because I want Steve to be able to develop this area, but I'm very disappointed that we have to have this top-down planning in place here. You know what is needed in this property, and so once again, I wish you all the best. I hope that this turns out to be a real success, but I would have preferred you making the decisions.
Further comments? Got a motion before us? All in favor of the motion to approve will vote yes. Those opposed vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 25 has been approved. Item 26.
Second reading, major amendment, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Chapter 15.45.070, Planned Development Districts, Dolly Farm Village PD at Powder House Road and Arrowhead Parkway, allowing changes in land use as reflected in the revised sub-area regulations, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
The Dolly Farm Planned Development District is approximately 260 acres of land that extends from Arrowhead Parkway on the north, south to 26th Street, and along the west side of Highway 11. The developers of this area have come forward with a proposed amendment which modifies the sub-area boundaries to accommodate future retail commercial development. And this change would affect two of the sub-area boundaries. The most significant change would be to extend the sub-area that's proposed for general retail by shifting it approximately 4 acres to the south. And that's based on a more up-to-date concept plan that the developers have brought forward for their retail commercial project. This has gone through a lot of discussion by staff with the Planning Commission, with neighbors, and when this was presented to the Planning Commission, there was a proposed building, a facade identified that showed at least one of the potential tenant spaces that would have different signage and different roof features than the balance of the building facade. And that has generated quite a bit of discussion within the past few days by neighboring property owners. And today, after a lot of discussion back and forth with the developers as well as with representatives of the neighborhood around this area, there's a request tonight to include as part of this amendment another amendment that would include this exhibit that would show that the proposed building facade would be in character with the bottom half of this slide as opposed to the top half of the slide. And we've had discussions with both the applicant as well as the neighborhood, and they've agreed to move forward with this amendment as part of the city council action tonight. And we have representatives of both the developer as well as the neighborhood here tonight if you have any questions of them.
Questions of Mike on item number 26. Others that wish to address the council on item number 26? Okay, you got something, Mike.
All right. Excuse me.
Good evening. I'm Dick Dempster, speaking on behalf of Opus Northwest, who is the developer of this portion of Dolly Farm Village. Just some background, among the developments that Opus has done is the fountains at Arbor Lakes, which is north of Minneapolis. I visited this. It's being held up as an example of the way that this development will look and feel when it's finished, and I think you'd be very pleased if you went through this and knew that this was the way the Dolly Farm Village would end up. We have two representatives of Opus here tonight, Pat Dady, who is Vice President of Design Build Management Services, and Hans Rasmussen, Senior Director of Real Estate Development. I wanted to mention just a couple other things about this project. We had a public meeting on October 22nd and had the opportunity to talk with neighbors about this project. And part of the proposed amendment that Mike explained about the elevation differences was a result of continuing discussion after that public meeting. If you get a chance to look closely at the drawings of the building, you'll see that it's very high quality, predominantly brick, stone, precast concrete with some details with EIFS, and step-back roof lines and facades to set up shadow lines and interest in the project. The site plan, again, if you get a chance to look at that, you'll see the extensive landscaping, the large setback from South Dakota 100 that's incorporated. This is a very high-quality development that's worthy of your support. We have agreed to the elevation difference, as Mike showed on the screen. And again, ask for your support on this amendment. Any questions for me?
Question, Dick, Pat?
What is the elevation difference?
The elevation on the top is a national branding for a store that may come to this development. It's a potential tenant. It's not a tenant at this point, but that elevation was included in the submittal to the Planning Commission. And in discussions with the neighborhood, there was a preference for the second, which is the lower one, which...
And how much is that difference?
Pardon?
How much is the difference in the height between the two?
Oh, I think in the actual height of the building, it's approximately the same, but it's the style of the roof line and the bold color that is the main difference.
Further questions? Bob Jameson?
I guess a question for you, Dick, or maybe for Mike. Have councils and/or planning jurisdictions set requirements on signage other than what the brand name is, the logo for a business?
You mean in general, we have done that in the past, yes. We have come up with standards that are unique to a specific development area, such as Meadows on the River. We put together a sign package. Actually, the developer put together a sign package to give it kind of a uniform look throughout that development. And I think that's the intent with this as well, to kind of come up with a uniform look of the building materials, the building roof line, and so forth that would be satisfactory to everybody.
Thank you.
Other questions? Others who wish to address the council on item number 26?
Hi, I'm Kevin Gallo. I'm from the Split Rock Heights neighborhood, which is to the east of the Dolly Farm Village. And I was here probably 18 months ago when this project went through and spoke highly of it because, as Mr. Dempster mentioned, it's always been pitched as a high-quality development to help the east side of Sioux Falls grow in a controlled way, and that it would fit in with the area and the neighbors in a harmonious and integrated manner. And as mentioned, we had concerns when we saw the top design, which included a protruding steep angle as well as the bright blue, which were not what we were originally told as far as nice, consistent design and earth tones. And so we're very pleased that the development team has agreed to submit the lower design. And someone asked if that was a design or if it's common. That design in the lower part is actually the design that particular retailer has agreed to use at a storefront in a suburban Milwaukee development. So it's not new to them. And it's not that, let me make clear, we were not signaling out one particular tenant. We opposed that roof design and that bold blue color independently, whoever might have wanted to come in, because it was inconsistent what we were told was going to take place in this upscale development. We're very pleased with the proposed substitution, and we'd like to thank the development team as well as the members of the planning department and members of the city council that may have played a role in getting this solution here this evening. We do believe that this commercial development will be, as well as the remainder of Dolly Farm Village, will be a great asset to not only our side of Sioux Falls, but to the city in general, and that it'll be a great example of what planned development can be in Sioux Falls in the future.
Questions? Kermit?
Yeah, how would you respond to some people who say they love the blue, they love the angle of the roof line, because there are people that do like that.
They can go to the store on 41st Street in Western.
Further
But,
questions?
Well, once again, I mean, what we're talking about is aesthetics.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, they think that that is aesthetically nice, and you think it is aesthetically displeasing.
It doesn't-
So what, you know, who do we support?
If you
Whose
see
aesthetics?
this is just a portion of the storefronts that'll be in that development. If you saw the whole scheme, including the proposed super target, they're all the more even leveled roof lines and earth tone colors. It's a theme that was pitched to us as part of this upscale development, and we're just asking that it's followed through, and we agree with this proposed change. We think it's great.
Let me give you an example of aesthetics. At Louise and 57th, there's that one shopping area there that has all kinds of different architecture and colors and everything like that. And I don't think anybody objected to that. But some people don't really like that. Some people do. And I guess that's what I'm suggesting here. Some people like this, some people don't. And so it's hard to deal with aesthetics because there's so many different opinions.
Okay, I understand.
Yes.
And at the meeting that Mr. Dempster mentioned that was held with the community, there were a number of different displays, so people didn't get to see everything that was displayed, but those individuals that did see this display that I spoke to, 12 out of the 13 people that it was pointed out to did object to that color and roof line. One thought, it's fine. It's a small sample, but statistically significant.
But if I could just ask again, I mean, I could understand if you had a financial interest in this development, that you could say, yes, I'm putting my money in this development. I don't like that blue, and I don't like that roof line, and let's get rid of it. But you don't have any financial interest, do you?
No, actually, I just received this in the mail. I'm one of their best customers. I'm a member of their rewards.
Yes.
But as far as what's coming into that neighborhood, I think it was pitched as a planned development, upscale, with certain colors and roof lines, and that's what we had anticipated and expected, and that's all we're asking for.
Bob Litz.
Call the question, please.
Motion to call the question has been made. Is there a second to that motion? Kavanaugh seconded. Motion been made, and there's no discussion. All in favor of calling the question will vote yes. Those opposed will no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Stagers?
No.
Benninga?
Yes.
Costello?
No.
Jameson?
No. The question has been called. 4 yes and 3 no, 1 excused. So, what is it? So back, we didn't call the question. Back, any other questions?
I'd like to make a different motion.
Pardon?
Could I make a motion?
You sure can.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 26.
Second, Kavanaugh.
Motion to approve, second by Kavanaugh. Is there further discussion on that motion? Bob Jameson.
A question. Mike, did you indicate that it needed an amendment to do the potential rather than the original current plan?
That's what we had discussed today with the applicant as well as the neighborhood, that the exhibit that you see up on the screen would be part of the motion to amend that would establish a guideline for the building facade that would be the lower half of the drawing instead of the upper half. And in the future, if, as this property develops, if there's request or desire to come back and modify that, then the applicant can certainly do that through another public hearing process.
Well, my point is that this is directed at a specific tenant.
Yeah.
If that tenant does not come, what do we need? Do we need or do they need to develop a overall plan for their development as to what they're going to use for signage rather than we're pointing out here, this is Best Buy, And as indicated before, it's not even a signed tenant at the present time, it's a potential tenant.
Yep. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do we need to just ask them to develop a concept plan for the facades of those buildings, or what's the correct way to handle it?
Okay, the correct way to handle this is that we do have in your packet sub-area regulations that have to do with parking and signage and landscaping, which is being adopted as part of this amendment tonight. But the concept plan that was presented to the Planning Commission was the top concept plan. What we are suggesting tonight is that the bottom concept plan would be modified as part of the amendment tonight.
Okay, then a question for the developer. Does this meet your needs? Does that give you adequate direction for future possible tenants?
Good evening. My name is Hans Rasmussen. I'm Director of Development for Opus Northwest out of Minneapolis. I don't know if you need my address, but it's 5540 Queen Avenue South in Minneapolis. To answer your question, sir, when we submitted to the Planning Commission for our final development plan, we did elevations, which include one named tenant, and then planned elevations for the rest of the development. The retailer in question is someone we hope to attract to the project, and like all national retailers, this isn't about architecture for them, this is about branding, and this is their brand. And so we put it on the elevation, hoping to get it approved, and hoping that we will successfully get them to come to this project. And, you know, they're going to look at stuff like this. I mean, they don't look at these in a vacuum and look at them individually. Most national retailers, they're going to do X number of deals a year, and they're going to pick that many. If they're going to do 60, they're going to pick the 60 best in the country, and that's where they're going to go. And so this is about us trying to put a partnership together so it works for us, so it works for the city, so it works for the retailer. When I flew over today, I found out that this was an issue. I knew it was an issue because it came up with the Planning Commission, but they had approved our development plan, and found out that this was still an issue. And so the comments were, I have no indication that this retailer is going to come to this project. I hope they do, but because I have no idea, I was okay saying, all right, we'll just put forth a elevation that's similar to the rest of the building. None of the other spaces have anything, you know, signage, anything like that on it. So if and when this tenant tells me they want to come to this project, I will be coming back with that elevation because that's what they're going to want. So, and if they don't decide to come to this project or try, then we won't need to. Does that, sorry for the long answer, but does that answer your question?
Not necessarily. My question really is, that type of signage on all the buildings, a similar facade or whatever you want to call it, is that acceptable to your long-term development for that project, that all the buildings have that type of elevations? Or is someone else going to come through and ask for something similar to what you show for the logo on Best Buy in other areas within the development? What I'm looking for is, are you acceptable to having us say to you that the lower level one is acceptable as a long-term development for your project?
I'd ask for Mike's help on this, but I believe the situation we're in is we've put on the table that we are acceptable, and unless something comes up, another tenant that wants to do something drastically different, then we'll come back.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, Mr. Gallows spoke of a conversation or a representation that was made. Could you speak a little bit more to the context of that? Was there an agreement made that there would not be any ununiform projections or any colors were eliminated to that matter?
Well, as you can imagine, a large-scale development like this goes through a lot of revisions over time. And when the Dolly Farm plan development first came to us, some 18 months ago, there were some concept plans that were made public as far as an architectural theme, the lifestyle center, the retail uses, the residential, all those kind of things. And so, yes, there were visual documents made public as far as what a building concept or an architectural concept might look like. And what at least the neighborhood representatives are telling you tonight is that top exhibit is a variance from what was initially brought out when this first started.
Were there any guarantees by the developer that what was shown on the concept would ultimately be what would be developed, I guess?
I don't know if guarantee is the right word, but I think there was a desire to have a very high scale, or I should say upscale quality development. And so there was a lot of emphasis on building materials, colors, signage, landscaping, those kind of things that were used as part of the public presentation and discussion.
Thank you.
Further questions of Mike? Others would address council item number 26. So we've got a motion been made and seconded to approve item 26. Is there any further motions?
I think we need an amendment then to adopt the lower elevation. Is that correct? And how do you need that worded?
I was hoping maybe Gary could help me with this one. That the building elevation would follow the exhibit as presented tonight, which is identified as the potential. Maybe there's a better way to phrase that.
So moved, Costello.
You seconded. Costello seconded. Jamison made the motion. Costello seconded.
We would refer to this as Exhibit A.
Further comments?
Yeah, I guess I'm very concerned about this because we do have the public coming into play with zoning and all these other regulations that we have, and oftentimes we talk about traffic and noise and all this, and now we're coming in now to more of the aesthetics, and I'm just very concerned about this because aesthetics, what some person likes, another person doesn't like. We should be letting the developers who are putting their money, millions of dollars into this, to make the decision. I hope this doesn't happen in Sioux Falls, but you start with businesses. You don't like this structure, you don't like that structure. Then homes. I mean, hey, I don't like this home that's being built across the street the way it's developed here. I don't like that roof line. I don't like the color of the paint and all this kind of stuff. I'm just very concerned here about the precedent that's being established here with aesthetics, and that's what this is all about.
Okay, we've got a motion to amend before us. Further comments? See no further comments. All in favor of the motion to amend will vote yes. Those opposed will vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Stagers?
No.
Benega?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
All members present voted 6 yes, 1 no, and 1 excused. The motion has been approved. We're back to the main motion as amended. All in favor of that motion to approve as amended will vote yes. Those opposed, no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
All members present voted 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 26 has been approved. Item 27.
Second reading, major amendment, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending Chapter 15.45.070, Plan Development Districts, North Ridge PD at Marion Road and West Maple Street, allowing changes in land use as reflected in the revised sub-area regulations, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This property is located on the north side of West Maple Street, and the east side of North Marion Road. It's part of the North Ridge Plan Development District. This particular amendment is about 19 acres of land area, and we're also going to be addressing this tonight under item 33, which is the development subdivision layout. In this case, the developer has come forward with a change in the street layout which is now requiring us to modify the boundaries of the zoning and sub-area boundaries so that they match up with the future street layout. We've reviewed this. City staff as well as the Planning Commission is recommending approval of this change.
Question to Mike on item number 27. Others who wish to address the council on item 27. Is there a motion by the council?
Move to approve, Litz.
Litz moves. There a second?
Second Benninga.
Benninga seconded. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh? Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
All members present voted, 6 yes, 2 excused. Item 27 has been approved. Item 28.
First reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, giving approval to the issuance and sale of tax increment revenue bonds in an aggregate amount not to exceed $2,300,000 to finance tax increment number 5 project costs, authorizing and appropriating the use of funds from the tax increment number 5 construction fund, authorizing the indenture of trust and execution of related documents.
Good evening, Erica Beck with the City Planning Department. The purpose of this presentation is to give you a little bit of background on Schrapa Place and TIF 5, and to give you a little bit of an update on the ordinance that we're presenting to you. This is the first reading, and then the second reading hopefully will be set for December 17th. And again, this is to allow the issuance and sale of TIF bonds for Schrapa Place. Originally, TIF 5 was approved by the City Council via 2 resolutions in 2005 with an amendment in early 2006. Within the project plan, the city and developer proposed funding the reimbursable public costs through the issuance of TIF bonds. Just a little bit of background, and as you can see from this site plan, Schrapa Place was the first proposed building within this site development, and then just to the left of the Schrapa Place building, you'll see the outline of a second building, and that's also proposed within this TIF. And then there's also a third building proposed, and it's not shown on the site plan, but that's to be determined later. The tax assessed value was estimated to increase by $36 million over the life of the district, and that was in regards to all 3 buildings and their construction. The original base value of TIF 5 when it was first created was roughly $410,000. We estimated that the value would increase to roughly $14.2 million. And as of November 1st, the Minnehaha County Equalization Department has identified the assessed valuation at $14.4 million. The $14.4 million does not include the land value that will be determined in early January. And then that does not also include some of the improvements that weren't currently done as of November 1st, which included parking lot improvements and then the restaurant space. The building is currently 100% leased, so I think that's a very positive thing to add to that. The TIF 5 plan itself identified $1.565 million in public costs that were associated with the construction of Schrapa Place, and that would be reimbursed through the sale of TIF bonds. That total included $400,000, which the city agreed to pay up front for the demolition of the zip feed mill, and then would be reimbursed through the sale of TIF bonds in early January of 2008. The reimbursement process to the property owner basically includes the property owner submitting all invoice information as related to the $1.5 million in public associated costs to the city, which would be reviewed by the engineering department as well as planning staff and finance staff. Once the invoices were found to be acceptable, the property owner then would be reimbursed for the public costs up to $1.165 million, and that's just not including the $400,000 because we've already paid that. This slide just indicates more detailed information regarding the bond issuance detail. On November 19th, the city presented to you information regarding the bonding for this project, which included total authorization bond size of $3.565 million. And as you'll notice on this slide, it's actually $2.3 million. Based on the information and feedback that we received from the council, from the informational meeting, we decided to take out the $1 million that we had added into the project for River Greenway costs. And we are basically just researching other ways to fund those River Greenway costs. The $2.3 million that's identified as the total authorized bond size is what you will find consistent with the original TIF 5 plan. And then Tom Grimman from Doherty and Company is available to answer any questions as related to the specific bond issuance. If you have any questions for him, or if you have any for me, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Questions, Erica, on item number 28? Not. Is there a motion to set the hearing date for Monday, December 17th for item 28?
So moved, Litz.
Litz moves. Is there a second?
Second, Costello.
Costello, seconded. Further comments on that motion? None. All in favor of setting the hearing date for December 17th for item 28 will vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Council members Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 28, the hearing date has been set for December 17th, seven yes, 1 excused. Item 29.
A resolution amending the future land use map as part of the Sioux Falls 2015 Growth Management Plan, petition number 2007-1006, at the southeast corner of West 69th Street and Sundowner Avenue, adding an allocation of industrial, economic, commercial, and multifamily residential land uses to the future land use plan. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This property is approximately 126 acres in size on the west side of Interstate 29 and south of 69th Street. The property was not included in our 2015 plan, and so that's the purpose of the amendment tonight. In working with the applicant, we have determined that we can provide sanitary sewer service to this area, and so the developer, landowner, has come up with a proposed series of land uses, which are identified approximately 4 acres up in the northwest corner for commercial, a multifamily residential area that's approximately 17 acres, and the balance of the property is for what we call economic development, which again provides flexibility to react to what future market trends might be for this area. It was felt because of the proximity to the interstate that it would not be desirable for more low-density residential type uses. This proposed land use amendment is being recommended for approval tonight, and Dan Costello is here tonight representing the petitioner.
Questions of Mike on item number 29, Bob Jameson.
Mike, one of the things that's been discussed with DOT, South Dakota DOT, is changing or modifying that interchange so that we'd have access across it at 69th. If this is approved, does that basically nullify any possibility of that ever happening?
No, it does not. In working with the DOT, they've done some preliminary alignments of where that 69th Street would go across, and the white triangle that's shown in this exhibit is where that right-of-way would extend through. So this proposed development will be compatible for the future crossing of 69th Street.
Thank you.
We want to make sure that that's going to be open for the future, that we protect that corridor.
Very good. Thank you.
Further questions, Kermit?
Yeah, Mike, you mentioned that there's no provision for single-family housing because it's not needed. How was that decision decided? How do we know, in other words? Yeah.
Well, I think what I said is because of the proximity to the interstate, you've got noise issues there, and with the increased traffic projections on I-29, we've been trying to discourage any more low-density residential close to the interstate because of the noise impacts it's going to have for the future.
Further questions of Mike?
Just
Go ahead.
kind of a question, though. If we would allow single-family housing close to the interstate, you're right, there's probably going to be a lot of noise there. But because of that, wouldn't that reduce the cost of the housing most likely and make it more affordable for some people?
You can throw out any kind of scenario, I'm sure, about what may or may not happen. But I would tend to agree that if housing was built in this area, it would not be the higher-end market, definitely so.
Further questions? Others who wish to address council on item number 29? Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Let's move. Is there a second?
Second, Benninga.
Benninga seconded. Further comments on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 29 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 30.
A resolution amending the future land use map as part of the Sioux Falls 2015 Growth Management Plan, petition number 2007-0331 at Southeastern Drive and 69th Street, adding the allocation of commercial, single-family, and transportation utilities, future land uses. Planning Commission recommends approval.
We have 3 items tonight that deal with this intersection of 69th Street and Southeastern Avenue. As you recall, we had quite a bit of discussion earlier in the year about a lift station policy and what type of proposals we would consider for this southeast area. And after the City Council made a decision on the lift station policy, we went back and worked with the developers of this particular area, and you approved an annexation of 3 parcels that all could be sewered. And now we're asking you to consider the land use amendment for those same 3 parcels. And I'll go through these individually tonight. Item 30 is the northwest corner of the intersection of 69th and Southeastern. It's approximately 77 acres in size, and the developer is requesting this land use plan to include approximately 12 acres of commercial, approximately 25 acres of multifamily residential, and the balance will be single-family residential to the west.
Questions of Mike on item number 30? Others wish to address the council on item number 30. Bob Jameson.
I assume the residential backs up to the railroad,
Yes, it does.
and what kind of buffering will be done there?
Well, we've done larger lot sizes. You can see the yellow farther to the north, that we have residential backing up to the railroad right away, and we typically would probably have a larger lot depth.
Thank you.
Further questions? Others wish to address the council? Is there a motion to
I
approve?
move to approve item number 30.
Knutson moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Let's second it. Further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 30 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 31.
A resolution amending the future land use map as part of the Sioux Falls 2015 Growth Management Plan, petition number 2007-0330 at Southeastern Drive and East 69th Street, adding an allocation of commercial office, institutional, multifamily residential, and single-family residential future land uses. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is the southeast corner of 69th and Southeastern Avenue, and it's about 25 acres of land that, again, can be served by our sanitary sewer system. In this case, the land uses are shown approximately 15 acres of future commercial, approximately 7 acres of office institutional, and the balance will be low-density residential. And in the future, when there is sanitary sewer available farther south and east, you'll see more low-density residential added to this area.
Questions of Mike on item 31. Others wish to address the council on item number 31. Bob Jameson.
Are 69th and Southeastern designated arterials?
Yes, they are.
And will the access policy of that intersection be different than what we did for the Van Buskirk property up northwest?
We are working to try to be consistent, and we're still having discussions, to try to look at, yes, trying to be as consistent as we can.
Very good. Thank you.
Other questions? Not. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve. Let's
moved. Is there a second?
Second, Jameson.
Jameson seconded. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benninga?
Yep.
Costello?
Yes.
Jamison?
Yes.
All members present voted, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 31 has been approved. Item 32.
A resolution amending the future land use map as part of the Sioux Falls 2015 Growth Management Plan, petition number 2007-0329 at Southeastern Drive and 69th Street, adding an allocation of commercial and single-family residential future land uses. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is the southwest corner of 69th and Southeastern Avenue. This is approximately 38 acres of land area. And in this case, the proposed land uses are shown as about 12 acres of commercial, approximately 8 acres of multifamily residential, with a balance proposed for single-family residential. And I should mention that in all three of these, we are working with the applicant, Ted Toms, who is here tonight as well.
Questions of Mike on item number 32? Others that wish to address the council on item 32? Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve item number 32.
Knutson moves. Is there a second?
Second, let's.
Let's second it. Further comments? Seeing no further comments, all in favor of the motion of approval? Yes, those opposed, no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present have voted. Item 32 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 33, heard.
Preliminary subdivision plan, a resolution of the City of Sioux Falls approving the preliminary plan of North Ridge Second Edition, northeast corner of West Maple Street and North Marion Road. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is the same item that we considered tonight as item 27. And again, this is in that northeast corner. And so we've looked at the street layout. The developer is, if we can show what was approved and what's being considered tonight in terms of the street layout. Okay, we don't have that up on the exhibit. So that's item. Okay. We have our numbers wrong on this one. Sorry about that. This is the Northridge Second Edition, and the developer has modified the street layout with this subdivision plan. We've reviewed it with all the city staff and the Planning Commission, and we're recommending approval of this tonight, this modified street layout.
Questions of Mike on item 33? Others that wish to address the council on item 33? Is there a motion?
Do you mean 34?
This is labeled incorrectly, so this is item 33.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve, let's.
Moved. Is there a second?
Second, Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh seconded. Further comments? Not all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present voted, 7 yes, 1 excused. Item 33 has been approved. Item 34.
Preliminary subdivision plan, a resolution of the City of Sioux Falls approving the preliminary plan of Hazeltine Addition, northwest corner of Benson Road and Marion Road. Planning Commission recommends approval.
This is the property that we consider under item 25 at the northwest corner of Benson Road and Marion Road. And this shows the proposed layout of streets and lots in accordance with the land uses and zoning that you've approved previously. Again, this has been reviewed by city staff and the Planning Commission with a recommendation for approval.
Questions of Mike on item 34? Others that wish to address the council on item number 34? Not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved, let's.
Let's moved. Is there a second?
Second, Jameson.
Jameson seconded. Further comments on that? There being none, all in favor of the motion to approve, vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
All members present voted. Item 34 has been approved, 7 yes, 1 excused.
Mr. Mayor? Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Can I ask a quick question of Mike? What's the status now of the line of credit with Citibank or to develop the downtown? What's happening?
With the RFPs that we were asked to go out with are due the end of this week.
Okay. And so a decision will be made?
We'll come back with and let you know what the response was, give you an update after the end of the week.
Okay.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Jameson.
Jameson moves. Is there a second?
Second, let's.
Let's second it. All in favor? Vote yes. Those opposed, vote no.
Councilmembers Kavanaugh?
Yes.
Knutson?
Yes.
Litz?
Yes.
Staggers?
Yes.
Benega?
Yes.
Costello?
Yes.
Jameson?
Yes.
Stand adjourned.
Hey, Bob, can I talk to you for a second? Yes.